to another edition of Gas. I am Gresh. He is Jason Anik.
You were playing everybody and we're winning the game last night.
The head coach is fighting people on the sidelines.
What do you got for me? I know you're a part of the Tight Pants Society.
No f***ing way is that a gimme, right?
Let's go!
No, it is not Tuesday, everybody. It is a Friday morning where either somebody had to go to court or they were working a jiu-jitsu broadcast this week as Jason Anik. Oh, my goodness. Look, how could you be more cleaned up? I mean, what is it, a holiday soon?
Well, we did shave today. You know what I do, Gresh? I shave like every 10 days, basically, and then it grows out. You know, so we got a little scruff little beard by the time we get back on camera, you know, for doing these events or whatever. Because my wife doesn't like me clean shaven, but I don't really like using the beard trimmer to try to craft something special on the face. We just sort of let it fall and then get rid of it. But it's great to see you, man. 10 days, too long without my guy, Gresh. I don't go to therapy, but like I feel like there's some therapy in talking to you every week. 10 days is too long, bro.
Well, you're very kind, and the NFL is now up and rolling. It was a hell of a week for celebrity deaths to mix those in there as well. And my goodness, what a week that was.
Didn't expect you to go there.
Well, I'm in the middle of, I think it's like 37 shows in the month of June, right? So
It's
yesterday, so it is July. You're right. So yesterday was a almost a therapeutic day for me on Mad Dog Radio, where I find out about the passing of Hulk Hogan, and I'm like, I've studied my whole life to do this show. Are you kidding me? And honestly, it was 2 hours of people calling to talk about the Hulkster, good, bad, and indifferent. Like, I'm not one of those wrestling fans who has their head in the sand. I understand that there's some unique circumstances. I mean, when your best friend offers up his wife for you to have sex with, you would think it would not be recorded. But then again, it opened up Pandora's box for Hogan. It led to a lawsuit that brought down a website ultimately. Like, it's a pretty crazy ride, but there were a lot of people who did a lot like Ozzy Osbourne and Theo Huxtable. There were a lot of people who were just like, man, I grew up in the 80s and this was a part of my growing up, and oh my God, these people are leaving us now.
I'm so glad you went there unintentionally. And Malcolm Jamal Warner, I'm going to go there in a second, but I want to start with Hulk Hogan because gives me such great joy that you were in that spot. I mean, because it could have been another person in that spot, right? You're doing a ton of work these days, but it's not always the same spot. And for you, who's been in this business for as long as you have, and everybody has their own stuff that they know a lot about. But I'm so glad that you were in that chair, and it was probably a great service to the listeners, you know?
Well, it's also, you can't, it's almost like there's two Hulk Hogans. There's the Hulk Hogan that the young people know, which was bad and the racist comment and all that. And then there was the people who sort of remember, hey, the Hulkster brother trained, say your prayers and take your vitamins. Now, when I was 14 years old, I didn't know what kind of vitamins the Hulk Hogan was taking. And, all old offensive lineman me wished I could have got some of those back in the day. But nevertheless, yeah, it was, it's been an interesting day or an interesting week. I know the Aussie stuff hit pretty hard as well. And I'm actually calling for the Patriots to now retire Crazy Train as the song they run out to. I think if we've now turned the page on Bill Belichick, and if we've now turned Ozzy Osbourne is now gone, it's a new era. The Mayo era was what it was. Is it time for the Patriots to maybe move on from Crazy Train now that Ozzy has since passed? Pick another song where they can bring someone in to have them perform it when they win the Super Bowl in a couple of years.
Yes, I agree. And you sort of retire it or I'm with you there. And it's crazy. I mean, I'm not necessarily a huge metal fan, but a lot of people got to know Ozzy Osbourne because he was a massive reality TV star in the same way.
That's exactly right. Yep.
But speaking of TV stars, Malcolm Jamal Warner drowns.
What a
family in Costa Rica. Now, I just, my wife and her sister were caught in a riptide in Europe. a while back and survived, and her
Oh my
sister, it got
God.
bad for a minute, right? And my wife is fearful of everything outdoors, but gosh, man, I don't have much of an appetite to let the ocean potentially do something to me. I mean, devastating, bro.
Have you been a long-standing not go in the ocean guy?
You know, I've been with my wife over 20 years, right? So I probably was a very much go in the ocean guy 20 years ago, and it's gotten excrementally, become less of an ocean guy ever since. Just going to the beach last with my wife last, but I like going in the ocean. But yeah, all these, I would tread very cautiously with all this stuff.
You know what's interesting? My wife and I were just talking about this, Jay, because my father-in-law is like, he says to me, hey, book the trip to Bermuda every year. And it's like, okay, boss, no, I'm going in a couple of weeks. And one of the spots where we're going to at the resort we're staying at, they have like an ocean club that is over near what they call the rough side of the ocean. So there's like one side where it's kind of calm and serene, where you can like throw on the goggles and like try to snorkel. I did that and I realized how far the reef went down just off of the dock, and I almost crapped my pants the first time. Now, eating a handful of gummies before you do so probably doesn't help, but nevertheless. And but when we're on the other side of like the island, my boys, again, 22 and 19, strapping kids in their prime, they went in the ocean and started to get tumbled around a little bit. And of course, my wife, who's 4'11" in the morning, is like, oh my God, you gotta go in there. And then I wipe out. And I'm like, and then she's like, Jesus Christ, what's gonna happen now? Everybody was fine, but it's the whole fear of the ocean. Like if it gets a little rocky or something like that, or if the waves come crashing in, there are a lot of people who do freak out. I admittedly am an ocean guy. Like I'm okay with it, even though I almost blew my knee out last year because she panicked. And I'm like, you go in there if you're that panicked. They're fine. Leave them alone. Nope. Gotta go run in there and try to save the day. But I'll tell you, if I can find the calm areas of the ocean, like where they have like the sound on the other side of the island in Bermuda, you can just give me like a pool noodle and I'll just literally sit there all day and soak.
Handful of gummies, pool noodle, and he's in business. Well, Cody says he's a big lake guy. Bilal Muhammad's been swimming in Lake Michigan training for a triathlon. So I get it. I don't know, man. I'm 47, bro. I'm trying to live twice as long as I am now, at least. So I don't need to get involved with the ocean. But when you, and bro, I'm not trying to take this down negative train, but like Malcolm Jamal Warner, like he's there with his wife and his child. Like, how do you,
it's such a terrible way to go. You're exactly right. You become traumatized forever in a lot of ways. And you know what it is? People panic and they start to freak out. Exactly. Like that's what happened to him.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you got to try to hold it together in moments like that. Well, we know that Mike Vrabel is holding things together up at Foxborough. Forged in Foxborough 2 has come out. I liked it because it was a lot about the Fats, a lot about the O-linemen, and that's where, and I can understand that. Now, look, if I'm Matt Smith, who runs Craft Productions, one of the things I'm probably not going to do is highlight very much of the interaction right now of the wide receiver room, only in part because Diggs is a little bit of a wild card, and I don't think they want any tells out there or anything as to, what mix of wide receivers they may or may not like. I know yesterday Kendrick Bourne did a really good job of putting some things into perspective from a veteran side. It makes me think that guy is going to be here, but then again, you and I are going to be sitting down on a Tuesday here over the next couple of weeks, and we know there's going to be a roster shakeup. I don't know if it's going to necessarily be with Kendrick Bourne, but I actually liked that Forged in Foxborough didn't really go down the road of the wide receivers. It almost kind of left it as a little bit of a mystery for us going into camp.
I agree with that. And the two names you brought up, Kendrick Bourne and Stephon Diggs, we've talked a lot about Kendrick Bourne. I absolutely love his leadership abilities and tendencies. He hasn't been able to see the field a lot the last year being banged up, and that limits your ability to lead. But gosh, I hope he sticks around. And I actually think from an on the field standpoint, the ceiling is very high on him. Drake May's going to have to do a good job spilling it around. And I don't think Stephon Diggs at this stage of his career, given the bag he just got here after the torn ACL, cares necessarily about how many balls, maybe as much as he did a few years ago. But when you talk about Stephon Diggs and you use the term wild card can go the right way. And
correct.
It's like, how about this guy already being 100% cleared after tearing his ACL in October? That's not an accident. You got to put in the work to get back there. And I understand Brandon Ayuk, who tore his ACL at a similar time, I believe, may have had a worse injury. I think his knee may be more messed up. However, there's no timetable for Brandon Ayuk right now. And I'm sure he put in the work as well. And maybe it's not the same injury, but Stephon Diggs has put himself in a position right now it's unequivocal. He's going to be ready for week 1. And yes, I'm glad we haven't seen much from the wide receiver room in terms of Fortune Foxborough yet, but I believe we will before it's all said and done.
Well, when there's a couple of interesting things in there, the good and the bad of Diggs. There's no question about that. And what's also interesting is on the first day of camp, it wasn't Diggs, Hollins, and Bourne out there, who were your 3 veteran wideouts that you would think, okay, you can put Bourne in the slot very easily, and that guy would be fine, especially in a Josh McDaniels offense. But Kayshon Boutte was out there, with the ones to kind of start, which I know it kind of caught some people by surprise, but from what I'm hearing, they really like Kayshon Boutte. The guy that is in the trickiest spot is Jalen Polk. And
he wasn't there, right?
Right. He's been missing the last or the first 2 days. Now, to me with Jalen Polk, there's a lot there that I think Mike Vrabel's going to like. He's willing to block. He's willing to sacrifice. He'll do the little things to ultimately get the ball. But if the guy can't get out on the field, other than little Elliott just saying, oh, let's shelve him or PUP him or whatever, because it was his draft pick, I really wonder if Polk is going to get out there to show that. So I don't think he's going to run by guys. But just, the ability to do the other stuff to make the roster. And, Jay, I kind of make the joke, oh, little Elliott. But in reality, is Mike Vrabel already at the point, comfortable-wise, with Elliott Wolf to where he can look at him and say, your second-round pick sucked, we're cutting him. That's a big leap. That's a big leap to say to a guy like that, this was your signature draft pick, because everybody could have made the Drake May pick. Even Jerry Jones could have made that one. But the whole you had choice, you took this guy. Now I'm going to tell you your baby's ugly.
Great stuff there. Hearing Big Gresh say little Elliott is just gold. I'm glad you could tell how much I liked it because you went back in for seconds. When you talk about if Vrabel's relationship is at that stage, right? I love that you went down that road, because if it is, and I think it may be, they seem to have a really good kind of connection. And
I
it's
agree.
Really important. I think they're real comfortable, right? When they traded AJ Brown, when the Tennessee Titans traded AJ Brown and Mike Vrabel, you saw that camera of him in the draft room just walking away. I got a really great sense of Mike Vrabel is an expert at building relationships. And I think his relationship with Elliott Wolf is in a place of great transparency. And so I think you're right. I think they probably are there. If he went that far, I don't know, but gosh, dare I say the wide receiver position is sneaky deep. I'm not suggesting it's elite, but it could be a good, a bright spot on this squad.
Well, to your point, just think about it. If they know Kendrick Bourne is not really going to be a factor, that's a guy who has some value across the league. So you might be looking at this wide receiver group and say, we know that Diggs and Hollins are here. All right, we can move on from Bourne because we still have Boutte, we still have Polk, we still have Pop in there as well. Absolutely. So I still do think there is a decent chance that Bourne gets traded, unless they really sour on some of those other wide receivers. And I'm sick of hearing about Efton Chisholm already, that this guy's going to bump Kayshon Boutte off the roster or bump a veteran off the roster just because he is the latest interesting white guy wide receiver that they brought into New England.
Well, but if Mike Vrabel thinks he can help him win football games in a way that X other player cannot, I think he'll make, I hate to use this Belichick cliche, the decision that's in the best interest of the football team. And frankly, I think Chisholm's going to be on the 53.
Yeah, I don't. I think when they start, I think when they start lining up wide receivers and start to be like, okay, here's some measurables and things like that. The guy's a cute player. He's a guy maybe that you ultimately now. Here is the real wild card at the wide receiver spot. Cody's just up there. He could be a special teams guy.
Yeah, I think he's on the roster.
But is there a role within the wide receiver group to have the Matt Slater spot? Like, does that stay there, or does the Matt Slater spot slide to linebacker or corner? Because it's easy to say, hey, you look at it, they would always keep 6 wide receivers every year, but one of them was always Matt Slater. So are the Patriots keeping 5? Are they keeping 6 real wide receivers? Or are they keeping 5 and a +1, and it's more of a special teamer, and maybe that's why people are hot on this guy, because he might be able to grab a Matt Slater type role. That's the thing I don't know. Now we've gone from Slater being the best special teams player, guaranteed a spot, it's a 6th wide receiver, to me, that spot is now open. It can be shifted to an 8th defensive back or a 6th linebacker or a 6th wide receiver, something like that.
Great stuff there. I was thinking as you were talking, if we rewound a year ago, how little I would care about any conversation really about the Patriots, right? I feel like we're talking about a potentially NFL contending team, and it really holds my interest. When I watched that episode, some of the moments for Mike Vrabel, and I don't want to necessarily throw Gerard Mayo under the bus constantly, but Mike Vrabel is such a gifted leader. The way he encourages Drake May to lead in spots. There was one spot where he's like, talk to him, Drake. I just think he just has this way to lay out this red carpet for Drake May to build him up with confidence, help him get better across the board. And that leadership component, I think, can really give him confidence as a player. And dude, May can do it, bro. Like, he knows how to talk to dudes. He has swagger. It's not going to be difficult, I think, for that locker room to galvanize themselves around Drake May. They did it last year in that joke.
Well, and I also think hearing the head coach say that is important for all the players in practice. I think to hear him say, talk to him, Drake, it's almost like, okay, the head coach wants the head coach wants him to take that over as an offensive lineman or an offensive player. I hear that and I know, okay, I understand what the coach is driving at here.
Absolutely. And he's talking to Kyle Williams in that spot, and Peyton Manning and Tom Brady ad nauseum, getting in wide receivers' ears, telling them exactly where they need to be. Because I believe that Vrabel knows that Drake May has it. If Drake May is going to be great, it's not just because he has all the physical tools. It's because he has the mental tools he knows where that dude's supposed to be. And he really does, right? He may talk a little slow, have a nice little drawl, but I think he absolutely is a cerebral quarterback and really can be the whole picture. Bro, I'm jumping out of my skin as I am every week, and August is creeping.
Well, I think for Drake May, this might be a sneaky bigger year than I thought from this standpoint.
Yes, bro.
But from this standpoint, but from this standpoint, though, I think Drake May has a season this year to convince Vrabel that this is the guy that Vrabel should invest in. So I'm not saying that May can necessarily lose it forever this year, but is there going to be enough good things? Like, you can just look at it and say, it's a young quarterback, you go work with him, right? But if you're the head coach, you have to believe that is the guy who can really get you somewhere, or what are his flaws and can we coach around it? And because if Drake May, let's just say it goes the other way and he can't handle it, he freaks out, they have a 6-win season, he's just kind of Mets, then Vrabel's going to look at everybody and say, this ain't the guy, and we need to go find one. But if the kid ends up with a great year, Vrabel then, because I think Vrabel's open to this guy being the long-term starting quarterback, obviously. I think for a lot of people, it's already, hand stamped. He loves him. But I do think Drake May has to show positive improvement this year to really make sure that Mike Vrabel is going to truly invest in him long-term.
I hear you for the most part, but I actually, while Mike Vrabel needs to be in the building to get to know Drake May before he becomes the Patriots coach, he couldn't have known him to the full extent. But I believe as much of a reason for Mike Vrabel coming to New England was Drake May, just as much as it being the Patriots and the team that he won 3 Super Bowls with. So for me, if you're, to your point, if in fact there's anything after this season that points to Drake May not being the guy, that's a nightmare for Mike Vrabel. So to me, I would think that's already, Mike Vrabel had a really good feeling about Drake May being a long-term guy well before he got here.
Well, here's the thing. For Mike Vrabel, the quarterback is, there's no blood on his hands. So if Mike Vrabel goes in there, we know the Crafts love him, right? And if after a year he's kind of like, I don't know about this May kid, then they're going to start looking, or then the organization will, maybe that's why you end up leaving so much cap space available in the event that the kid say that him and Vrabel don't click or whatever.
No
I'm with you.
Not going that way. No,
I'm with you in that Vrabel looked at it and said, this has all the elements of everything I could want. But if you're looking at it from a practical standpoint, or like almost like an NFL standpoint, it becomes, well, I inherited that guy. It's right, like the general manager that inherits a coach. I'm not saying Vrabel's going to pull the ripcord, but I just think that I underestimated. I did a lot of the sort of, hey, the kid is there, his hand is stamped, it's going to be him. And all I'm saying is I think Mike Vrabel will always reserve his right to change his mind. And May needs to take positive steps this year. But look, you couldn't have anybody better to guide you to your next step than Josh McDaniels. And that's the thing. That's the thing that I keep hearing from up in Foxborough, is that offensively, it now looks like a real unit that has kind of come together. And even though they had a bad first day, which is understandable, defense attacks, offense, plans, the offense took it on the chin a little bit, but that it's actually kind of starting to come together and look like a functional offense.
New England Patriots plus 130 to make the postseason. As a Patriots fan, I hope Vegas knows what they're talking about, because that tells me there's a great chance. But what are they, 70-1 to win the Super Bowl? That may be a little bit outrageous. But I've said over and over on this program, for them to do something similar to what the Commanders did last year and I do think that is the ceiling. I really do believe this could go quite well. I think they could make Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills have to sweat a lot this season. I really do. I think getting off to a good start is paramount, but we've talked about the easy schedule. I just think they have a great chance to improve in all 3 phases. Christian Gonzalez going to lead that defense. That defense is going to be a problem too. I'm fired up.
There's $200 million. There's $200 million that's going to get paid out soon with Christian Gonzalez. Like if you're a Micah Parsons, if you're a pass rusher and a corner, this was a good offseason for you, because Sauce got his $30 million a year deal. The pass rushers have gone into $40 million a year. So if you're Christian Gonzalez, you're licking your chops at the end of this season, because the longer the Patriots wait to extend him, the more it's going to cost them. So
no question. And he's
get to the end of year 3, and he wants to be here, and we know him, and he's already one of the best corners in football. That's a guy you can turn around and pay $32 million to and feel okay about it.
You're going to need to. He's already all the rage nationally, so it's not just locally. So anyway, let's move on to some baseball reluctantly. What do you want to talk about?
Oh no. Is the roller coaster down this week? Is the roller coaster in the valley this week with the Red Sox?
That's hilarious.
I mean, that's what it feels like. They come out of the All-Star break, and it's kind of Mets. We don't know what the deal is with Jarren Duran. Is he or is he not on the market? What does this team ultimately want to do? How do they want to put it together? I feel like, Jay, it is really the hunt for a starting pitcher, which if the Red Sox only make one move and they just go get a starting pitcher, they don't have to offer Jarren Duran if they don't want to. But it looks like the Padres are pushing to get Jarren Duran. Why does San Diego want to shop in Boston all the time? What is up with that? Like, it's crazy.
So the Red Sox, I guess Cody declined a deal that would have sent Jarren Duran to San Diego for Dylan Cease and Ethan Salas. I really want to see Jarren Duran stay. Gresh, I just, as excited as I was 10 days ago talking about this team, they could still excite me again this season. But if I'm being real with you, I think they're good, not great. They have some nice stretches. They have some nice pieces. They have a little juice sometimes. But, a guy like Lucas Giolito is much more likely to sort of lose you a game than win you a game. I know, he comes back after the break, right back down to earth. I think 9 earned runs in 2 games, gave up 4 bombs to Philly. I'm glad they salvaged both of these first 2 series. I'm going to be watching, but I just think they're good, not great. And even if they were to make a move, it would have to be some miraculous run for them to make any type of noise for me.
Here's what's crazy. So the Red Sox have moved into a better position, and they're still minus 155 to the no on the playoffs. I would have thought maybe those numbers might have moved a little bit bigger. You see Baltimore in there. Toronto is up and down. Here's the thing about this team. The Red Sox don't have really, to me, the anchor player that everything kind of revolves around, right? You and I grew up in the era of Manny and Ortiz. One of those guys, or at times both of those guys, they were the anchor in which everything, they were the planet in which the Red Sox orbited around, right? Who is that guy? We're praying to go, it's almost like, here's what it feels like now with Bregman. Square peg, round hole, right? Instead of just come in, fill a hole, fill a need, and be you, it's now, can this guy be the savior? Can this guy be the leader? Can this guy be this? And normally it's one of those people who, like, it's easy to be able to figure out who the rest of the team would kind of revolve around. And they're still waiting for that guy to emerge. And I think when you sort of have the anchor and the guy in the center, where it's like Manny, I used to love picking Manny in fantasy baseball. So every year I knew I could pencil in 320 with 35 bombs and 130 ribbies every year from that guy. Once they have that dude who has a good attitude, not like Graffy Devers, then I think people will really start to settle in and invest in this group, because there is someone to invest in, not constantly riding the hope of the standings.
Well, Cody put in the chat for him, it's Sedan Rafaela and Roman Anthony. But I just want to say about Bregman, right? He's played 59 games. Okay. I still absolutely believe Bregman is that dude. He barely got his feet wet, and then he's out till the All-Star break. I understand he came back right before the All-Star break, and they've had a couple series since, but I still think he's that dude. And I think that dude has to be the veteran. I'm not suggesting his stick is equal to Devers even, right?
No, my God, no.
Playing little first base out in San Francisco. But no, I still really do believe in the lineup. I just don't believe in them to be great in 2025. I think it's a year away, possibly. Go ahead.
You mentioned Devers playing first base in San Francisco. Isn't that the ultimate, isn't that him just saying Boston? Like, doesn't it feel that way? It's like, come on, dude, you couldn't have done it here. They gave you $330 million. I know they didn't go about it the right way, but good Lord, he went to San Francisco and it turned into no big deal for him to play first base. Could have flipped the switch here just as easily.
And, when you talk about the Red Sox, what you just said, not going about it the right way, right? It's not as if they were like malicious towards Denver.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They didn't dupe him. Right. They didn't.
Exactly.
All they did was, they asked him, they asked him to give them a professional courtesy, but it goes to show how set these freaking, babies are and can be.
Well, but you're not always going to play your cards perfectly, right? Let's say Alex Cora had decided to fly to see Devers, right after they signed Bregman individually and said, hey, man, what can we do? Right. In hindsight, maybe the Red Sox would have done things differently, but Rafael's for Devers, just super immature. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. See you later. And we'll see what happens with the Red Sox. Christian Campbell, I know, got sent down. He's playing well. There'll be some movement. We know the deadline is coming up here at the end of the month, and I'm sure in some way, even if it's the third team in a 3-teamer, I could see the Red Sox jumping in on deals in a couple of different ways.
You get the Dodgers coming in tonight, who have not been the hottest team in baseball. So maybe you can put them together at home. Certainly going to be exciting to watch Red Sox Dodgers in Fenway Park.
How about Ohtani? They're stretching him out to be a starter in the postseason. It's unbelievable what this guy can do. It's crazy. We signed the wrong Japanese dude. We signed the little guy with a bad stick who can't play the outfield. And, the Dodgers and the Angels went and got goddamn Babe Ruth.
Imagine being a Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim fan. I know some of them well. Brutal. Just brutal.
I mean,
Trout's still the best player in baseball?
You've watched Mike Trout now just get old right in front of your eyes. It's pretty crazy.
It's just
I forgot about there's Yamamoto and Sasaki on the Dodgers as well. So we could argue that the Dodgers have 3 better Japanese imports than, the little lefty at the top of the lineup for the Red Sox right now, because they got to get him in there because they don't have anybody else that can swing it. And that guy can't really swing it. I love Cody, but he tries hard. Yeah. That's what I want. $18 million a year and you try hard. No. I want you to go produce. Can you at least come up and hit 285 at the goddamn big league level? Is that hard? I know that we're all supposed to rub peanut butter all over our nipples over BABIP or plus ops or whatever. All these freaking nerds that sit in the Red Sox front office. Then they'll be like, well, if you look at him in the Japanese Samurai League, he had a great OPS plus for 4 months. And it's like, yeah, he's going against him. It's going against Ham Hands Harry and a guy who's making sushi, in the back part of the bullpen. And we're going to bring him into the big leagues. Everybody's supposed to get rock hard for a small lefty Japanese hitter. Meanwhile, Babe Ruth's on the other coast, just shove it up our ass this weekend. Oh my God, it drives me nuts. Anyway, we have hit now finally the most ridiculous Boston Celtic rumor of all time. My kid, my oldest Connor, said to me, he yelled to me from across the kitchen. He goes, when my Wikipedia page got vandalized and they made fun of me, there was a thing in there about I was an overweight sumo that went under the name of Fat Eddie. So my kids have called me Ed for the longest time, right? So my oldest yells to me, he goes, Ed, what's this stuff with Ben Simmons? And I go, dude, I'm like, that is such rubbish. And he's like, please don't tell me we're going to get Ben Simmons. And I'm like, dude, we're not getting Ben Simmons. Like, with there is no way in hell Brad Stevens does this. Okay. No way.
So I want to go back to the Ed stuff later, if we could, because that is just brilliant. So I'm a little disappointed to hear you say that you think it's ridiculous, because I love guys that don't want to shoot, because everybody wants to shoot these days. And I believe in Brad Stevens, Joe Mazzulla more than anyone on the planet to be able to get the most out of said player. So it's too bad, I guess, just on the Ben Simmons note, because it actually does interest me a little bit, because it would clearly not be a big financial investment, right?
No, it wouldn't, but you're bringing in a loser. Let's just be straight about it. You're bringing in a loser and you're bringing in a pussy. If we just call it the way it is.
Okay, I appreciate that.
That guy won't last here. Ben Simmons will not last. If I may steal from the great Steve Buckley, who coined the Boston baseball experience, there's no way Ben Simmons would survive the Boston basketball experience, because I think, quite honestly, there are too many people. You're very open-minded about it, which is good. I think there are too many people who think like me. This guy sucks. He's a goof. He can't hit free throws. He can't hold himself accountable. He has never gotten better since coming in the NBA, Ben Simmons. Never. He's been a guy who's been a meme for looking like a freaking rainbow standing on the sideline of a playoff game that he wouldn't even, think of, God forbid, partaking in. This is a This is such a hard no for me on so many levels. Yes, I do think he would react okay to the environment, and we would have to trust Joe Mazzulla. But this guy is softer than grandma's middle.
Okay, well, that's all fair. Ultimately, I guess for me, I just always like the potential fit with Brown and Tatum. But a couple things I want to touch on NBA Celtics related. So Marcus Smart, purple and yellow. Los Angeles Lakers, I believe it's 2 years, 11 million, somewhere in there.
Correct.
No, I don't know if the Celtics were interested or maybe given their financial situations weren't. But I do believe if you're Marcus Smart, certainly if you look at next season, the Lakers have a better chance to contend for a championship next season than the Celtics. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would think so. That core is okay, and they'll keep chipping away and adding to it. But the real wild card next season is LeBron going to be there, because remember
Next
LeBron
season?
wants to for the Lakers. Yeah, he opted in this year, so this is LeBron.
I got it.
This is technically last year for LeBron with this group, and then we'll see what happens kind of next year and moving forward. But I thought getting Marcus Smart, I'd rather see Marcus Smart come back at $9 million a year and reintroduce himself to the Celtics roster with Joe Mazzulla than I would Ben Simmons coming in to stand around and play play half-ass defense, be a ween, go away from shots. God forbid you put him at the free throw line in the final 5 minutes of a game. He'll pee his pants.
Well, as frustrated as I was watching certain games where Marcus Smart would attempt 14 three-point shots, right? It's like that should never happen, but that's a different conversation. But, I would have loved him walking back through that door. But I want to talk about someone who is walking through that door, Hugo Gonzalez, Celtics draft pick, right? So Mazzulla said he's going to get real minutes this season. I believe he will. Have you seen any footage? Have you watched this kid play at all? Hugo Gonzalez in the Summer League? Okay, Gresh.
No, all I know is his hands are like spider webs.
Let's go there first, okay?
Yeah.
So the NBA Combine database, and we didn't even have this. You're gonna I got stuff on this. So the NBA Combine database, it only shows from 2011 on, right? But this guard, Hugo Gonzalez, he's tied for second all time in terms of his hand size.
It's amazing.
Taco Fall, right? So Taco Fall, 10.5 inches. Gonzalez tied for second with Xavier Tillman and Dexter Pittman at 10.25, right? You know Kawhi got some mitts on him, right? He's 9.75 inches. But, bro, Hugo Gonzalez jumps off the screen. Anyone who's watched the Summer League, I guess he's missed some shots, but, bro, he's everywhere. He's so instinctual. He jumps out of the building. Bro, he's 19 years old. Like, I'm telling you, I think Tatum's going to be back. I think Tatum is going to heal from the Achilles. You know how Stephon Diggs sort of is back at 100%. Like I think Tatum is going to have a very good recovery. I don't know whether it's going to be April, May, June, but I do believe the Celtics are going to be in the postseason. And I think Hugo Gonzalez is going to be a big part of the rotation. Are they going to be able to, how big is their ceiling going to be without Drew Holiday, without Kristaps Porzingis, right? It's going to be difficult to get back to where they maybe were championship year or even last season. But gosh, man, I think this rookie, like when I saw that Mazzulla said he's going to play real minutes, like, bro, he's 19, but he's legit. He's legit. Go watch.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch him and see how he blends in. And it's going to be really weird watching the Celtics this year because there are going to be parts of this team with Tatum not on the floor that we're going to love. And then when Tatum comes back, it's going to disrupt some of the rhythm and some of the stuff that we love, and they'll have to retool things. But I'm with you. It seems like this kid, everybody loves him. Other teams in the NBA were like, damn, that's a great pick by, Brad Stevens. And that's what I always like to hear. It's the other teams who go, yeah, that was pretty shrewd. He's going to fit in with them pretty well. And there were some of those whenever this kid was drafted. Brad Stevens is just really good at his job. And the one thing that I think he has not done, Jay, are they the favorite in the East? No, there's no way they would be. They had to make some of these moves. Have they punted on the season? Absolutely not. He's gone about just building it a little differently. And then you're interjecting one of the best players in the world. So the one thing I love about Brad Stevens was, okay, I know what I have to do, but I didn't do it recklessly. And this kid Simons could still end up being flipped, and he's at $26 million. So who knows what he ultimately does there as injuries kind of pile up across the league. I think Brad Stevens has maybe done his best job this offseason. As much as the other ones were splashier, this one he had to get things done, and he didn't abandon ship. We still have a reason to watch this team this year. They could still end up winning 50 games, I think, when it's all said and done.
Really good stuff there. And we've talked about the Eastern Conference, no front runners. If the Celtics were sitting in the Western Conference looking up at a team like OKC, we might be having a different conversation. But I absolutely think come June, the Celtics have a chance to be a top 4 seed and a team nobody wants to face in that Eastern Conference.
No, I agree with you, especially if Tatum is back and healthy. Like, that's the thing. It's really for the Celtics. This is almost like one of those years like we would talk about with Golden State, where say Golden State, they don't care about the record. They don't care about the seeding. Just be healthy at the right time. And they beat number 2 seed Houston in the playoffs this year. It's kind of proving that.
Yeah, Celtics in 2010 were the 4 seed, I believe, right?
Yep. That's where that's the goal for this team, right? Be in the tournament, get the best matchup you can, but no, we're going to be a different team come, April, May, and June, because Tatum's going to come walking back through the door. I just want nothing to. Now, what scares me is that the Celtics let go J.D. Davison. Now, again, former late first round pick, G League Player of the Year last year, mixed in a little bit when my oldest, who I referenced earlier, went to Alabama for a year and famously went to no class. Neither did JD. So those guys got to know each other. So, my boy Connor is definitely hurting a little bit. But when he said to me last night, he asked me about Ben Simmons. I was like, please, God, no. And then he said, oh, they just cut JD. And I'm like, uh-oh, then maybe that's going to happen. So maybe one ends up leading to the other in terms of JD Davison out. It opens up the spot. Maybe Ben Simmons slides in there. Who knows? But it does appear as if the Celtics have legitimate interest and they got rid of a player. So why'd you open up a roster spot?
Yeah,
how are you going to fill it? Yeah. How are you going to fill it? And maybe it is that, giant puss bag walking through the door.
Hey, so you're on fire today. Before we get to the UFC, are you doing anything else today? Are you on radio?
Oh yeah, I have 3 to 6 on Infinity Sports Network, and then tomorrow morning I have 8 a.m. to noon Mad Dog Sports Radio, and then I finally got in at VSiN. Very excited about that. Vegas Sports and Information Network. I will be on from 4 to 8 p.m. with some gent who's gonna, just kind of guide through the first process of me being on VSiN, and then nice. And then on Sunday night I have the Infinity Sports Network, and then it is noon to 3 all next week for Dog Days. So back in for the full week of Dog Days, and then I got I have Saturday shows, and then Sunday, August 3rd, we're out of here and heading out of the country, and I can walk around with a sleeveless T-shirt and not be judged. Well, because most European people are fat, and they're not hold on.
Most American people are fat.
Hold on, no, but I'm saying the fat Euros are the ones that go to other countries and walk around like I or others would, where they're like unfettered in their largeness, right? So that's the thing. Like, you can't tell me, like, listen, are European people thinner than us? Absolutely. But, when you see Grandpa Joe at 70 years old with his Speedo on the beach, come on now. You're gonna automatically judge. And
by the way, speaking of Grandpa Joe, is he not the biggest fraud in history, right? Laying up in a bed, right? Putting all the money, for those of you who haven't seen Charlie and the Chocolate Willy Wonka, right? Laying up in a bed, right? Spending all your family's money on your tobacco. And
that's
then
right.
As soon as there's an opportunity, you hop right out of bed and bounce around. I know it's a fictional movie, but my wife was bringing that up earlier. Grandpa Joe.
Grandpa Joe was odd ways of he had some odd ways.
Yeah,
let's just
not
put it
good moral character. You go up in take the fizzy lifting drinks. Like I used to love Grandpa Joe, but I not so much anymore.
Well, once you start watching it with kids and they ask questions or whatever, and they're like, "Oh shit, I can't contextualize this." But no, I do have some Infinity Sports Radio a little bit later on. One of my friends who is a media analyst is actually in Japan He's going to get up at 5 a.m. Japanese time to come on with me. Well, and going back to the whole Hulk Hogan thing, pro wrestling in Japan and MMA in Japan are way different, covered, different thought about the whole nine. So I am interested to hear my buddy Ken tell me sort of how they're reacting to the Hulkster over in Japan. But when it comes to pro wrestling and MMA, the way it's covered in Japan, it pales in comparison to here. That's real to them. Yeah, let's get to where are we in the sort of alphabet soup of putting all of these? Well, we got crossover fights and champion against a champion fights, and sort of like, is John Jones in? Is John Jones out? What are we really doing here? What's the plan in Dana White's mind for the White House card? Because, Jay, will we start to see some of will the fights over the next couple of months kind of lead us to where or what you think Dana White might be thinking for the White House card? Is it as simple as that? Follow the trail of fights and they'll lead you to what he's thinking?
Yes, I think to some extent, but he did an interview recently and he almost says, like, it's just too far away. Like, I'm almost not even thinking about it. I'm paraphrasing, but of course he has probably in the back of his mind.
The John Jones thing doesn't go away. Right.
But he knows better than it is the way this sport is, given injuries and his two biggest stars, McGregor and John Jones, who both want to fight, are such wild cards that even if the idea for Dana White of making McGregor and John Jones main, co-main in whatever order is tremendously risky.
Yes.
If I'm a betting man, I would look for an odd on neither of those things happening, right? So, but either way, I think that card would be stacked. But let's talk about what we do have, right? So, UFC 320, October 4th, Vegas. Light heavyweight championship, Ankalaev versus Pereira 2. Co-main event, bantamweight championship, Merab Dvalishvili, Corey Sandhagen. That's what I want to talk to you about. Like, I love Corey. Have you seen some of his social media stuff?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's very good.
So, in terms of that fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you and your boys will be talking about that. I think Merab's minus 380, if I'm not mistaken. I think Merab's, excuse me. Yeah, I think Sandhagen plus 300, Merab minus 380, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, right in front of me. So in terms of this fight, right? Corey Sandhagen is obviously a well-rounded mixed martial artist, but don't you think if you're Corey, it has to be a very risky, aggressive 5-10 minutes that I got to get this guy out of there. I got to catch him in a way that he's almost been caught before, because if this thing goes 11, 12, 25 minutes, that is the machine and still.
Well, as you were saying that, Jay, I was thinking attack the machine before he attacks you. And to your point, can Corey Sandhagen in 10 minutes be aggressive enough to, like you said, kind of catch Merab a little bit, rock him, maybe get him into a situation that he's been able to avoid but hasn't been in? I'm very much with you. I think and this is really for anybody, I think, just the way Merab is wired, if you don't go at him, all you're doing is opening the door for him to fight, his aggressive way, stay on the bike and keep you just gassed out. I'm with you. I think you gotta go big or you're going home against Merab. So you can go home quick or you can go home in 25 minutes. What do you want to pick?
Well, and for me, right, I understand Merab. Look, he's got submission now. His striking has certainly improved, but he is still, in my opinion, a guy that if you're Corey Sandhagen, if you make a very aggressive move and you end up on your back against Merab, while that's not ideal, it's still 1 of 5 rounds potentially, right? Mm-hmm. You still put yourself in a position to get back up. So I do think it's going to blow my mind, given what I know to be the mind of Corey Sandhagen, if we don't see a very specific, aggressive game plan for Merab in this spot.
And here's the other thing about Merab, Jay. To me, I feel like every fight he's gotten better. And what I kind of mean by that is whoever the opponent is, they can do this. Merab's got to watch out for it. Not even a factor, right? And Merab he's getting better. He's getting more confident. I think for, most people, like when they start fighting 5-round fights, Shay, I think for some guys, there is okay, I got to learn the pace of the 5-round fight. That's something that Merab doesn't have to learn. You talk about an adjustment that a guy never has to make. It doesn't matter. It feels like Merab can go
a lot of
10
5-round fights too, though.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that with Merab, once he got to the 5-round fights, his style never changed. It wasn't, I got to pace myself, or maybe I'm going to use a little more of the ground and pound or whatever. No. It's as if he's in a 10-rounder and he's ready to fight for a whole hour if he wants to. And that's kind of where I was going with that. I think some guys, they definitely know how to fight 3 rounds, but there's a transition to 5. And that's the thing with Sandhagen. He knows he'll be able to go 25 if he has to, but can he go 25 against the pressure of a guy who is, might be a lunatic in a good way?
No, very well put. And, all of these mixed martial arts athletes, I was just in Vegas covering the Professional Grappling Federation, which is an unbelievable jiu-jitsu league. But there was one athlete in there who, he's 3-0 as an MMA amateur, right? And you could tell he was just in great physical condition. Like his opponent was a superior grappler, but he was in superior condition, and they have heart rate monitors on these guys. So he was flatlining in certain spots, just sort of very much, in vulnerable positions, yet very controlled with his breathing and everything else. So,
well, and I know that's the reason for those ice baths, right? It forces you to kind of, like, I would never do that. My fat ass ain't jumping into, 80-degree water full of ice and all that or whatever. But they try to teach you, it's like controlling your breathing and things like that. So that, and Corey Sandhagen's a great fighter. I just think he is up against the wrong guy at the wrong time, and that sounds very cliche, but to me, the most impressive UFC fighter if we went from, going backwards from today, if we go calendar to calendar, right? To me, the most impressive guy has been Merab.
I agree. And you talk about his improvement. And most certainly, I believe Corey Sandhagen has improved a lot as well. But you talk about right guy at the right time. Gosh, rewind 3 years ago today and face Corey Sandhagen, Merab Dvalishvili. Certainly the betting line would look different. And I think Corey Sandhagen might have a better shot there. I love Corey. I love Merab. I know them both personally. I think my brother, he always talks about nothing greater than seeing someone realize a UFC championship for the first time, right? So certainly Merab has achieved a lot in this sport. I would love a great martial artist like Corey Sandhagen to be able to realize a championship, but I'm always rooting for greatness as well. So do I want the Merab train to stop? No.
And he's entertaining. I think he's, I don't know. I know everybody is on the Topuria train because he's double champ and all that. I get it, but I can make the case that Merab should be number 1 right now, given the people he's fought, the quality. And Jay, you mentioned he's made big leaps of improvement, but I also think a lot of that is also mentally right now. Merab Dvalishvili feels like it's kill or be killed every time he goes into the, and I don't know if that's the way I don't know if that was his mindset 3 years ago. It might have been in there, but whatever it is, he's unlocked it, and I'm excited for it. How about DDP and Hazmat? Where are you at on that?
So that is creeping. What is it, August 16th in Chicago? Khamzat Chimaev, Dricus du Plessis. I hate to say it like this, but it's like I always feel like I'll believe Khamzat Chimaev is going to fight when I see him actually make the walk. I know the face crank over Robert Whittaker was the end of last year. He's already in the U.S., so I know we need to just know that it's going to happen. I love Khamzat. What is it, -180 as I squint with my old eyes? No, I love Khamzat. Look, Dricus du Plessis is the man. I love the human. I love the unorthodox fighter. He's a problem. I can't wait for this one. But Khamzat Chimaev moves the needle for me in a way that no other fighter does. And if you even that top 5 pound for pound list, right? I can tell you right now, if Khamzat Chimaev has a belt around his waist and he has it in emphatic fashion, you're going to see him vault right up there. So I'm leaning favorite there. I don't even know if they have a co-main event sort of nailed in yet, right? Or if they've named it, but this main event is enough for me.
Absolutely. And when you look at guys like DDP, and I mentioned Topuria earlier, I saw the tweet out there of when these guys all debuted and they were all on like prelims and stuff like that. And now we've seen them rise through the ranks. Dricus du Plessis is one of those guys where he went from me and my boys from having a funny name to, wow, that guy's really good. Kind of the same thing with this weekend with Reinier de Ridder. It's like, okay, he was a very accomplished mixed martial artist, but when you come to UFC, people start to put more respect on your name, so to speak. And you see him this weekend against Whitaker. It's kind of the same thing with du Plessis. See the guy come in and then boom, boom, boom. All he does is just rise up to be a champion ultimately. Yep. You know, and de Ridder is kind of taking one. He's got a big fight against Robert Whitaker, who we know, championship caliber fighter, tough guy, all that stuff. But it's really interesting to me, Jay, that if you are a longtime UFC fan and you watch it every week, you're seeing champions enter UFC that you don't really know right away are going to move up as quickly as they did. And my God, du Plessis versus Chimaev, you could sign me up for that. I got big respect for du Plessis. For me as a fan, right? Like just really getting into it now over the last couple of years, like my wife is a NASCAR nut. So I would she would watch like the Xfinity series or whatever, and you would learn about these young drivers coming up, and then ultimately they would be at the highest level. I feel the same almost like level of ownership and rooting for these fighters, for these guys who, you know, years ago came in the middle of the card and then ultimately worked their way up. It's been great for someone like me to be able to see and appreciate the body of work they put in to get to that point. It's also a reminder there's a lot of really good fighters in the UFC, and sometimes it's just opportunity, timing, and other stuff. But you know what? For a lot of these guys, you know, you don't realize they can be champions coming in, but it's now opened my eyes to look at people a little more critically whenever they do have. Like, that's why I'm so disappointed with Patchy Mix. I was with everybody else. Everybody thought Patchy was going to come in and kind of take his place, and then he didn't. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. It's a good reminder of you can come in at a certain level in the UFC, but, man, you can win your way to the top really quick and get a lot of respect. DDP is one of those guys.
Yeah, a lot to chew on there, but you also see a guy like Patricio Pitbull bounce back against Dan Ige after entering the promotion. Mm-hmm. So I do think Patchy Mix will be heard from again, but really
no doubt.
The Reinier de Ridder du Plessis comparisons are great. Bilal and I hosted our podcast last night, and his phone died before he made his pick on the main event. And I did utter that I thought maybe he was going to pick Whitaker, but he was going to pick de Ridder, I believe, at plus 140. Gosh, man. A lot of value there, but I said, and it's hard for me to root against the Reaper. So, but I'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm glad we have a good fight on a fight night, brother. That's what I'm all.
Middle of the day, which I love too. But you'll probably
on ESPN, all that. You know what's interesting too, at least for us, when we're in Bermuda on the 9th, the UFC Fight Night stuff is on main ESPN, which everybody gets in the hotel. So that's awesome. So I'll be able to sit near the pool and, eat
a handful of gummies and watch fights.
Maybe, you know, I don't want to give away all my.
Is it a handful? Cause big men need a little more milligrams.
Oh yeah. I'll start with 5 or 6 probably. Yeah. And then, you know what it is though, Jay, and I don't want to out myself, but
sorry.
There are, I've kind of mastered the ways of bringing stuff with me, if you know what I mean. You learn how to pack it right.
No, it's good.
But we
Not
also
in 2025, you can be sure.
True, but you know, some people and other countries are a little more particular than we are, so you just got to make sure you got kind of everything buttoned up. I wish I could get some of those Joey Diaz Death Stars. I'd hit a 200 milligrammer and then just start the day. I'm with him. I could totally go for that.
I got some stories that I guess we're about to be off the air that I'll be able to tell you.
Oh, I like it. I have to, it can come with the sweatshirt from Cody Merrow. How's that? And congrats to Code and getting some new stuff going at Cody_Merrow on Twitter. Everybody give him a follow and follow along, and you'll see all of the stuff that he is working on. That is our hour today, everybody. We will be back on Tuesday, I do believe, next week.
Maybe.
And then
we'll be back next week someday.
Yeah, we'll be back next week someday. Maybe we got to move some things around. And I know the week after I'm out, and I don't know if they have internet in Bermuda or anything. So I think that might be one we have to skip, or I just do it poorly on a laptop. We might have to. I don't know. We'll work that out over the coming weeks. But are you back in the grappling world this week?
Yeah, and those of you MMA fans, please go to the Professional Grappling Federation YouTube channel. It's unbelievable what Brandon McCatherine's built, BMAC. It's a league. It's a jiu-jitsu league. There's a 5-week regular season, so matches every Wednesday night for 5 weeks, and then the playoffs are September 10th. So Professional Grappling Federation YouTube channel, Wednesday, 7 Eastern. This is legit. Like, he wants to make it like the NFL. Check it out. I think I dig it.
Are they using the guy with faker teeth than me to like give picks or anything like that? That guy that I see every once in a while, the Greek guy. I mean, my chiclets are fake as hell, but my God, those are some great implants.
I don't even know who we're talking about. Oh,
the Yanni guy. Yeah.
Don't tell my guy Johnny like that. Come on.
I got I mean, that guy, like, listen, I'm sensitive because I got full bridges, but yo, when I see those things, I'm like, damn, he hit a 10-legger and got that stuff done. But anyway, listen, and then none of this sticks to Jay. None of this sticks to Jay. This is all me. I'm easy to find. You want to yell at me or cuss me out?
I'm good.
I'm around. I don't want to get anybody any heat. You can check me out today. Infinity Sports Network, 3 to 6 p.m., where I'll be in there. And then Mad Dog Radio tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to noon. And at some point next week, Jay and I will be back with another edition of Gas.